Hey, welcome into Restaurants in Pop Culture, presented by Squared Sodas, with your host Jensen Cummings. That is MC32 right there. We are coming at you. This guy over here, with another episode. Exciting episode. We got a lot to go over with top three. Big episode of The Bear coming out. Plus, we're going to have a special co-host. Our guy Shannon Duffy, co-founder of Tender Belly, is going to be on in just a second. What are we getting into? We're getting into RIP007. This is our James Bond episode, Chris. Let's get it. So apparently we're doing a little honorable mention of James Bond. We're also doing crazy tasty pork dishes in honor of Shannon being here, and fishes, The Bear episode 6, which was intense to say the least. So look out for that as well. So let's get right into it. I want to bring Shannon in here. Join us. Shannon, what's going on?
Not much, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, good to have you on. Excited to have you be a part of this. I told everybody you and I have been riding together since 2011. And so it's great to have you be a part of this. And Shannon's going to be queuing us up for those top threes throughout this season. And we wanted to have you on. And of course, we got to talk crazy, tasty pork. So for anybody that doesn't know, give us the 12-second. Tell us about Tender Belly. What's going on with Tender Belly right now?
Tender Belly, we're growing across the country in all retail. Food service is taking off as well. This Prop 12 thing in California, where the state put the laws in place to treat the piggies better, is very, very good for Tender Belly, and it's something that's good for the industry as a whole.
Covered that on Restaurant News Roundup, talking about Prop 12 out there. Basically saying what sows had to be housed in a space where they had 24 square feet or something like that of space. So that puts a lot of those commodity pork guys in a little bit of a tight squeeze, but you've always had high quality, high standards. So appreciate that. Yeah, man, I see. Even when I travel around the country, I see Tender Belly pork in Whole Foods or Sprouts, like all over the place, man. It's super proud moments, man. Way to be.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
Just so everybody, Jensen was like, I think one of the second or third guys we delivered to in 2011 for putting in the back of our truck and delivering it to row 14. So thanks, buddy.
Unreal. Yeah, that was super cool. And even the story, for anybody who doesn't know, go check out Tender Belly. You guys aren't just a real retail, pork company. Like, restaurants really built up your company, and you have a lot of respect and love for the restaurants. Your brother Eric is chef, right? I think he had that recipe coming out of Scottsdale Culinary School, right? Like,
Exactly.
And started the whole thing, and the two of you were humping bacon and pork out of the back of your truck, man. I love it. It's the come up story. It's like tech companies in the garages. You guys were slinging bacon
out of the garage. It wasn't legal. It wasn't legal, but it's pretty fun.
I love it. All right, we're going to get into a little top three presented by Tender Belly. We want to talk crazy, tasty pork dishes. So we're going to get into that. Chris, do we lose you?
Crap.
All right, Shannon, we're going to kick it off then. We're going to give our top three pork dishes of all time in movie, TV, whatever it might be. So, Shannon, you're our guest. Tell us, number three for you.
Number three, I'm going with Hannibal. Number three, I'm going with Hannibal. The ossobuco and risotto and saffron scene. Just ossobuco. It's more restaurants should put it on the menu. It's fun to eat, fun to serve up. It looks good on the plate. And then Hannibal in general. Guys quite the character.
I am with you 100%. I'm gonna jump in then too, because my number three was also from Hannibal when he does Boudin Noir. Yeah, look, that show is sinister as hell, but like the food scenes in there are really, really on point, and they look damn good. So Mads Mikkelsen is brilliant in that role. The Boudin Noir, I think, is also kind of symbolic, right? Blood sausage. The fact that the dude is a serial killer and the blood sausage, but absolutely like a beautiful dish. And talking about memories, you and I going throwback a little bit. I have a fond memory of Boudin Noir. I actually got blood from you guys for a special dinner that we did, harvest dinner, with a Vesta dipping grill, and I went down to Vesta and taught those guys how to make boudin noir. Shout out to Chef Brandon Foster, one of the greats all time, rest in peace, and taught him and his crew. And literally, you take a 2-liter bottle of Coca-Cola and you cut the bottom of it and you turn it into a funnel. It looks like you're making a gravity bong. And that was my fondest memory of making boudin noir, and Hannibal does a great job of that. All right, we'll catch up, Chris, as he's got have some technical difficulties. For you, what was your number 2?
Number 2 is Brady Bunch pork chops and apple sauce. Like even before I was in the food scene or pork scene at all, that was a staple line that we used to say in the house growing up. So,
yeah, I mean, growing up
in
Iowa,
chop,
man.
Yeah. I'm sure the pork chop was what, like, we all grew up with, the white overcooked pork chop that you could barely chew, that the parents and grandparents thought you had to cook it.
Pretty sure people boiled that shit, dude.
Yeah, it's horrible, absolutely horrible. But it's a classic with the turf yard in the back. Brady Bunch, classic.
Pork and apples. All right, for me, my number 2 was the Hunger Games roast pig. In the Hunger Games, you don't get to see them eat it, but it looks damn good as she's shooting a bow and arrow directly through the apple in the mouth of that pig. Jennifer Lawrence, Wes Bentley, and then shout out to Stanley Tucci. We've talked about Stanley Tucci a bunch. He's super into food. He's got that show where he's traveling around Italy on CNN, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's in Big Night, which he wrote and co-directed as well. So Stanley Tucci's been in the food scene a lot. Obviously, he has nothing to do with the food in that. I thought it was very fitting that our guy Stanley Tucci was also in that movie. So he found his way into food all the time. All right. Number 1 for you. What's the number 1 crazy tasty pork dish of all time on movie television?
So I'm going a little bit off script here, but it still has to do with pork.
Go.
I'm going with Trading Places with Eddie Murphy, with the pork belly scene where he's getting all smart with his new bosses. He's talking about selling the pork bellies instead of buying some, and it's part of my daily life of dealing with pork bellies and everything we're doing with the market. And it's just funny how Eddie Murphy puts a spin on it and teaches the old guys what to do.
So they're talking commodities, right? They're talking about buying and selling.
Eddie Murphy talking commodity pork bellies in the early 80s. It's a great scene.
All right. So give us some inside baseball there. What has changed since the 80s when it comes to pork belly? Anything?
I mean, just the cost. The price has gone up, but the guys are still trading them the exact same way. That we use computers instead of just a little green screen or a piece of paper, or the Chicago Tribune in the morning. You get updated real time, but that's about it.
Oh, now hold on. We got to hover on this a second, because I know a lot of people in the restaurant industry are trying to figure out what the hell is going on with inflation and food prices. The cost of food is going up significantly. They're so scared to raise their prices. A lot of restaurants. Give me a little bit more there. Like, what's going on a daily when you are at a premium product level, which a lot of the restaurants we know, the people that we work with, are at that premium level, but they're scared shitless to charge a premium price for their product, and they're self-commoditizing. How do you break out of that? I'm sure that's something you had to deal with when they're like, you should price yourself here.
Yeah, I mean, the price of the food or the price of everything are scary right now, but not taking price when you have to as a company is extremely detrimental to the company. You got to figure out a way to get the price that you need to survive. I mean, we're dealing with pork belly prices on a daily basis. You got to have multiple vendors. You got to keep people honest. You got to treat your vendors properly, but you got to be able to keep them honest. And then figure out different cuts, sizes of cuts, different ways to prepare, taking out work from your system, and then taking price when it's necessary. If the product's good, if the service is good, if your restaurant demands the price and people will pay for it, you have to take it. Self-commoditizing too long and you're screwed.
Yeah. You're training people that you are only worth this.
Yep.
Right. And I think we've done that a lot in restaurants because we focus so much on the price being the value that we deliver. So I couldn't agree more.
$7.99 a pack to $8.99 to $9.99 to some of the hoity-toity California retailers. They're charging $11 and $12.99 a pack. So you got to make money, plain and simple.
And you're growing though.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, you're growing.
Once people get good food in their mouth, they do not want to. They will trade down, but trading down is not something they want to do, especially when, it's a Sunday, it's a special Sunday bacon or putting bacon on top of their burger. They want to have the good stuff. The bad thing with bacon for us is that it's not many people complain about bacon until they've had really, really good bacon and know that they've had some bad bacon most of their life. So driving trials,
you guys have
driving
ruined
trials
us.
is the hardest thing.
You guys have ruined us. We literally, Betsy cannot buy low quality bacon anymore. We just like, even our kids won't eat. They won't eat it. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's wimpy. It leaches a bunch of water, like you can instantly tell. And shout out, shameless plug for you. Your savory maple pre-cooked patties, the sausage patties, are literally on our staple, man. No cap, man. 100%.
Grab and go, man.
Love that. Thank you for that little bit of insider information. That's why I love this, man. Like, movies sometimes catalog our own personal histories in a very unique way. And the fact that like you're now in that business, that you saw that movie when you were younger, that now you're like, I'm fucking Eddie Murphy. Like, let's go.
Kind of.
I absolutely love that. All right. So number one for me, this was a shocker because I didn't love this movie at all, but Birds of Prey, Margot Robbie. The amount of time that they spent talking about the classic New York bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich and how like thoughtful they were about the way you got to cook the eggs and what it needs to be about the bread and what it needs to be about the bacon. And the fact that it's a 6 a.m. staple for people who are early risers who have been up all night, to me, just like speaks volumes. So somebody there had a lot of love and respect, basically had grown up on or lived on the bacon, egg, and cheese. You seen that movie?
I have not seen it, but Margot Robbie, I'll probably end up watching it.
Yeah. Check it out, because that's the kind of thing you need to clip that, Shannon, and green screen that, because anybody showing that much homage to a dish like the humble bacon, egg, and cheese out there in New York is like all-time classic staple, man. All right, that's number one. We're going to. That was great, man. I appreciate you jumping in co-host, because Chris, the robots always have an issue.
Sorry, Chris. We'll get you. We'll get you back on the screen. I'm taking over your job for next week.
Yeah. So. You've lost your spot, Chris. Shannon is a natural for sure. All right, Shannon, I'm gonna get you out of here, and really appreciate you being on, man, and keep doing what you're doing. And we look forward to you feeding us all these top threes. Be good.
Thanks a lot, Jensen. Bye.
Later. All right, everyone. I'm gonna keep rolling with you, and we'll get Chris on here in a minute. You know the deal in this virtual world, this digital world we live in. Forced restart on the computer, but we're going to get into a little bit of. I'm going to talk a little bit about and ramble a little bit, so stick with me on what's been going on in the Bear season 2. I'm going to do a little mini mid-season recap, right? We are 5 episodes through with this, especially with opening new restaurants. So this is my whole world, my whole business, my whole life is talking to restaurateurs existing and new, looking to open restaurants, looking to redefine what it means to be a restaurant, literally what it is to be a restaurant, and things like what Shannon and I were just talking about with the need to understand your value in the market, the community, and who you are is absolutely fundamental and crucial. And so I think this is what they're doing on the Bear. I think they're doing a really, really great job of it, of allowing us a glimpse into the struggle of who you are. Carmi being the high-end chef, then coming to the humble beef joint, trying to reinterpret that. Now they're opening a new restaurant. Now people who just knew how to sling beef are now trying to understand their place in a restaurant that's trying to go after a Michelin star. Like, these are all dynamics that we see play out, and the fact that it's getting center stage, it means a lot. Are they getting everything right? Of course not. No, there's lots of things that are ridiculous, and that's television, right? That's Hollywood. We're going to expect that. But the fact that they are exploring this and grappling with it, I think is really relevant, really important. And the fact that they're giving it time, I'm appreciative of that for sure. The one thing though for me is the Michelin star, going after the Michelin star. I want to hear from everybody out there. I know there's a lot of mixed emotions about it. It is absolutely something that so many of us chefs strive for, and thought that the 3 Michelin star, 2 Michelin star, 1 Michelin star, this is the standard. This is the expectation that we should have for ourselves in the restaurant industry. The reality is there was no reality in it. It's pretty unattainable for most of us, and really what a lot of us maybe didn't actually want. It was just what was portrayed and sold to us as the upper echelon. And now we're recognizing, and Chris mentions this quite a bit, where a lot of the movies you see chefs at this very high end, and by the end they just want to cook simple, humble, straightforward, high quality food, get those best pork bellies and be able to turn them into something pure and delicious. And so that's part of what, again, opening a restaurant and understanding who you are and what it means to serve food to another human being, I think is really critical and important for anybody and everybody to be able to understand. So respect there. I'm gonna keep rambling. Stick with me, Chris. Come on, baby. Come on back to me. Also, been seeing actors from the show out there supporting the WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes that are still going on. We stand with them for sure. We went off the air for 2 weeks in support and solidarity with them, even though we taking guidance from them. The fact that we are now kind of influencers in the space, whatever that means, of movies and television, the fact that we were under contract to see this season through allowed us to continue going, but we did want to show them a little love and respect for sure. So you see them out there every day, still picketing, still trying to make sure that they get fair treatment. In restaurants, we understand this. We know exactly what it's like to be underpaid, underappreciated, undervalued. And the fact that they're standing up for themselves, I think, matters a lot. The fact that you see the amount of money that the Disneys and Hulu and Paramount, these companies are making, and then the amount of money they're paying their CEOs, fucking fight that shit. Like, they need to be getting paid. Movies and television catalog our lives, right? So many memories that we have are crystallized by a movie, or the clothes somebody was wearing in a show, or the food that they were eating. They're iconic and memorable to us, and they mean something to us. I recognize in a lot of my things that I'm putting out on the top threes, so many of them are really based on nostalgia, and I think that's the case for a lot of people. Man, Chris, what up?
Whew, man, technology is not my friend today. Oh my goodness.
Hey, no worries. People were enjoying me ramble on about nothing for the last 5 minutes, so I appreciate everyone who's sticking around. Hey, the show must go on, man. That's what's Indeed. Up. That's Hollywood, that's stage and theater, and that is the restaurant industry. So sometimes people reach out to me when shit goes wrong. They go, "Hey, that felt real. That was real." All right, let's get right into it, because I want to give all that value. We're talking about Fishes, the Bear, episode 6. As always, we're going to give you our ratings and I want you to go first, because my number is going to melt some faces. All right, I usually jump in first. In 3, 2, 1.
6.6 to 7.7. It's kind of a range.
Oh, 9.1.
Woo!
The first ever 9. Oh, this is wow. We are fucking way. That's your lowest rating ever, and this is my highest rating ever.
And it's a range. It's a range.
Are we talking about the same episode? Fishes, the Christmas episode?
Yes.
Oh,
so like it's
you
a range.
Defend and I felt your honor.
I will. I'm ready. All right. So here's what I was struggling with is, like, first off, let me say that every single actor and actress their portrayal was spot on, amazing. That was an award-winning episode, right?
He's hedging here. He's hedging. Don't be mad at him. Amazing actors.
You can be mad. You can come for me. It's okay. That's what we're doing this for. But it felt like all of this was okay. So it started off lower, but then it made sense at the very end, and it got higher when it all rounded up to where it's like, okay, I can understand why they're going here. But for most of the episode, I felt like this was so far, like, I don't like, it felt like a waste of all these great actors and actresses to be doing all of this when it's not going to matter ultimately. Like this whole situation, but then at the end, again, it matters. They were laying the foundation for why Richie is like this, why Carmen is like this, and like how far back this goes. And I get it, but at the core of it, and for the majority of it, before like all the shit actually hit the fan, I was having a hard time like sticking with it, and like not like it was. I felt like I was watching something else, and
it was a different show.
Right. Like I felt like it felt like a scene from another movie or a scene from another show that wasn't what we were watching. And so because of that, and the fact that it took me so far out to where I didn't feel like I was watching The Bear anymore. And until everything like wrapped itself back up and tied itself back up towards the end, and you're like, oh, okay, I can see where they're going now. But
this is why everyone is the way they are.
Yeah. But it's like I spent the majority of the time being like, man, why did they why did they have to bring such A-list actors for these minuscule parts that like isn't gonna matter? But it's like, to me, the analogy I was giving myself was like, it's like getting A5 Wagyu and getting some imported wheat and grain so that you can make a fucking Egg McMuffin. Like, it's gonna be
the best Egg McMuffin ever. All right, you're cut off. Let's go. I'm gonna tell you why this is the best episode of the season, and I'm gonna start with, I don't know why I had this feeling that this was going to be the case. I thought you were going to rank this low, and I knew I was going to rank this high from the second I saw John Bernthal finally come onto the screen. And I don't know why. I just had this sense where I think you and I just are looking for slightly different things out of the show, which I think is okay. That's the point of this. And so that's interesting. That's why I had you kind of drop your number first, because I didn't think it was going to be that low. I thought it was going to be like, I thought you were going to go 7.4. That was my guess. And I was like, I'm going to be like 2 points higher. I'm like 2.5 points higher than you, which is wild. But I want to show everybody one of the best scenes I've ever seen on television. Here we go.
Please tell him who we ran into. Oh, we saw Claire Bear. Carmen. On the weekends, this woman teaches CPR to differently abled college kids.
Yeah, like, is that like Fab? Like Neil?
She's a deeply good person. I can see why you're in love with her.
I'm not in love with her, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, where did you guys get this from? Because you shot all those drawings.
That's what I'm fucking talking about, though. That's what I'm fucking talking about. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think you're fucking with me. You're bringing up this thing. You're giving me a fucking hard time about it. You're giving me a fucking hard time about it.
No, it's because you're... Oh, my God.
Your brother Hannibal. I want don't touch Mike. You don't fucking touch him. I'm serious. Mikey, don't fucking touch him. Mike, stop. Hey, Mikey. Auntie D, did you just throw a spoon at me?
Yeah, I did. You, Richard, bring her the pop. Carmen, I need you back. No, you cannot say that to her.
We're not done with this, Claire.
You fucking break my balls.
No, I think it's just a big misunderstanding.
Carl, this is a good thing.
I love that. That felt like it's almost like a play where everybody is talking at the same time. The amount of intensity, you can even see like right there, Richie is like smiling. I think he broke character, but just jumped right back in because he's like, this shit is ridiculous. That type of intense banter, I love. And the fact that John Bernthal is now on, John Mulaney, we had Sarah Paulson, we had Jamie Lee Curtis. Whoa. Yeah. Bob Odenkirk, Cicero, one of my favorite characters, is in this as well. And so here's the interesting thing. What I will say with you is the timing of dropping kind of the depth of backstory has been a little bit clumsy. I've mentioned that multiple times where they're stretching some of these storylines with Marcus and Tina too long, where I'm like, tell me why I should care about this backstory, because you're alluding to it. So the fact that this is coming in the middle of the season, I think the timing is clunky or clumsy, whatever it might be. And so I'll give you that 100%. It also did feel very much like a different show. And the reason is, our guy Christopher Storr directed this. He also co-wrote it with Joanna Callow, who's been a driving force of this. So they brought in the big guns for this across the board, including the actors. And I think they wanted to, basically, all these actors said, we wanted to be in this show. Like they kind of asked, just like Will Poulter did. So I agree. I know that they blew their wad a little bit with this one episode. I think that's what they had to do, though. I think the fact that they've added a little bit of star power in this season is fine to me, but the fact that they didn't want Jamie Lee Curtis, Bob Odenkirk, all these other big name actors to be central characters, I think was smart on their behalf. And they wanted to basically have this grand slam episode where all of the madness that is these characters comes out in one episode. So really, really love that about it. It had a lot of like Christmas Vacation meets The Ref Christmas family dynamic vibe. And those two movies are top of my list when it comes to Christmas movies. So I appreciated that and was for sure transported. Again, to your point, if I had taken a moment and say, why are they doing an episode that has nothing to do with the bear? Fine. I could see where you're going there. But I was too captivated by the fact that they are making this amazing family shit show Christmas episode that tells you why Nat is the way Nat is, and Richie is the way Richie is, and Carmy is the way that Carmy is, I think was powerful. They stayed in the flashback. I actually like that about the episode, because they've done a couple flashbacks and they've done varying degrees of justice to the flashback. The strange thing about the flashback, I noticed right at the beginning, and I've noticed this in other shows. Do you notice that smoking cigarettes is now a sign of the past? Have you noticed that? Right? Because nobody smokes cigarettes anymore. So anytime in so many TV and movies, they're like flashback, you have kind of emo hair like Nat does, the dark, looking more dark and brooding, or you look like a clumsy punk kid, and you're somebody smoking a cigarette. That tells you we're in another time, because instantly people go, well, that can't be today, because that's not what people are like today. So the smoking of cigarettes was a little bit of an insider thing. One of the things that was kind of a nugget for me that was surprising was how much Matty Matheson and this new character, what was his name? Theodore, Ricky Staffieri, whoever that is, were like spot on that in that episode too. And the fact that Matty Matheson, a cook like us, held his own with the fucking A-list in this episode. Yeah. I was fucking like pounding my chest being like, yeah, we got some characters in the kitchen. We got some swagger in restaurants, right? And Matty, the fact that he held his own in an episode with literally this like a red carpet at the Emmys, I had a lot of respect for that as well. And then Jamie Lee Curtis, man, she was wild in that. And then, driving the car through the front door or whatever, like, come on. I mean, ridiculous and stupid. But also you just saw how broken Carmy and Nat are, especially. They needed you to know, if nothing else, you needed to know how broken they are, how complex Richie actually is, because he seems kind of bro a lot of the time. But there's complexity, right, with seeing him becoming a father, his talk with Cicero. So they laid a lot of depth in a single episode. But man, to your point, they laid it heavy. So, woo, that was wild episode. So appreciate that for sure. Man, 6.6. What?
Like I said, it was a range, and the 6.6 part is into like what you said about where it comes in the season. So it just felt like you pulled, like, kind of how you felt like it was just way out there to have Marcus. Timing. Yeah, like kind of how you didn't enjoy Marcus being in Copenhagen and all that, and how the music seemed out of place. To me, this episode seemed out of place with where we are in the show. And so, like, I was struggling because all of a sudden, bam, you're throwing in all of these new characters at once, and it's all of these new characters that have amazing portrayals, but these amazing portrayals have nothing to do, like, within themselves with the plot of the show. They have to do with the plot or the making of some of the characters, the main characters, but these portrayals themselves don't have anything to do with the show, which is what threw me off, because I was sitting there like trying to stay in it, but I was struggling because I was like, this isn't the show that I was watching.
I'm okay with that. I am so happy that I was able to suspend disbelief for that entire episode, because I was in it, man. That was one of the better episodes of television that I've ever seen. Like, that was incredibly powerful. Again, to your point, it makes very little sense in the run of show of this season, and I've maybe been more of a stickler on that of the flow and the arc of the episodes than you have. So we little role reversal there. We flipped the script a little bit. So I appreciate that. All right, keep us in check. That was good, man. We need to. We can't just be roses and rainbows all the time. That's the show is teaching us that even making a television show about people in restaurants is a fucking emotional roller coaster. 100%. All right, everybody. We had a 9.1 and we had a 6.6 over here.
6.6 to 7.7. It was a range. Let me put, let's be clear. It was a range. I kept coming in and out.
Six. He said 6.6. Everybody. All right. Tell us how we did. What's your ranking of the episode? What do you think of our review of the episode? Thanks again to Shannon for joining us and holding us down. He did a great job of helping extend top 3 for giving you some runway to be able to get back in here, and he had some good ones. Yeah, Chris is gonna have to check back, and now we don't know. We might like sneak out a couple little posts and let you know Chris's top 3 crazy tasty pork dishes of all time, since he didn't get to drop them on the air. But everybody, once again, this is Restaurants in Pop Culture presented by Squared Sodas. We appreciate you all. We'll be back next